This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you everyone for coming out to our meeting. Thank you to our residents who are present on site, and thank you to everyone who has called in or who is joining us virtually. My name is Danielle Thomas, and I am the Chief Operating Officer for the St. Petersburg Housing Authority. And on behalf of our Chief Executive Officer, Michael Lundy, who could not unfortunately be here today, I of course want to bring you this update. Of course, I will bring you this update on where we are in terms of the relocation and redevelopment process. I am joined by several of my colleagues at the Housing Authority. We have Carolyn Abington, our Chief Finance Officer, Larry Gonzalez, our HCD officer, Vanessa Manning, one of the staff persons in the HCD, I think he's clerical and administrative assistants. We have, of course, everyone knows Robin Adams, our asset management officer, and Michaela Gleason is our communication specialist who will be helping us with the virtual part of this as well. We also, of course, have Shaka Reed, Sonia Walker, and Grace White as our property management team. So this meeting is going to be recorded. So it will be available online after this meeting is over. So you can, if you have questions or you're like, what did they say? You can go back online and review the answer or review the content and get the answers that you need.
On the Housing Authority website?
Yes,
okay.
stpeha.org.
Okay.
Yes, so it might take a little bit of time, so it won't be up this evening,
Right.
but more than likely it'll be up tomorrow if you need to access the information. So the purpose of this meeting, again, is to provide all of our Jordan Park residents with an update. We said that once there was something to report, we wanted to bring that information to you.
Hush.
And so please bear with us with some of the technical challenges. Certainly, you know, in this virtual world that we're all living in, we are getting used to some of these virtual meetings. So any apology for any technical difficulties. But yeah, so we do have an update for you on where things stand with the redevelopment process here. As you may recall, last time that we met in January, we told you that the Housing Authority was planning to submit a disposition application to the Department of Housing and Urban Development for Jordan Park. This application would be such that it would allow us to do the renovations of the 206 family units. It would allow us to build a 60-unit mid-rise senior building, and it would allow us to transition the property from the public housing program into the project-based voucher program. That application, sorry, I'll just ask everyone to please silence their phones.
Ready to do that, right?
Thank you so much. But so that application was submitted in February of 2021, and we just received approval for that application on May 27th. So HUD has approved that plan that you heard me mention, the building of the 60 units for the senior mid-rise, the renovations of the 206 family units, and the transitioning of the units from the public housing program to the project-based voucher program. So what does that mean now? So at this point, now that HUD has approved that plan, we need to get the financing in place. So we've already started that process. We are already working with various banks and funders to put the financing in place. However, there are additional activities that we need to do with the banks that we need to do to make sure that we have all of the money in place. Construction financing, other things that will allow us to build the kind of structures that we want. Thank you so much for joining us. So while we are in that process of finalizing the funding, the Housing Authority is also in the process of hiring the staff to assist with the relocation process. We have already hired, so we did have a little bit of a bump in terms of our staffing, but we did have hired just last week, someone who will be a Ross coordinator and another person who will be a social services coordinator. One person starts on Monday, the other person starts on the 21st. And those folks will be part of the team that will help with the relocation process. They'll be meeting with each family individually to get a better sense of what it is, again, that you're looking for when it comes to transitioning out of Jordan Park. If that is your ultimate goal, if you would like to move to the Housing Choice Voucher Program, do you want to stay here in St. Petersburg? Do you want to move outside St. Petersburg? They'll be having those conversations with you more in depth so that they can make sure that they work with you. I have received a question about where will we go as part of the relocation? Well, here's the thing. We're not going to tell you where you're going to go. Where you go is going to be your choice. For those of you that have the Housing Choice Voucher, that's why it's called the Housing Choice Voucher, so that you can choose where you want to go. It's not for the Housing Authority to tell you this is where you need to be. So please have those conversations with your relocation specialist when the time comes. Let them know, I need to be close to my school. I need to be close to my house of worship. I need to be close to my doctors, whatever the case may be. And then you can look at what area of St. Petersburg or what area of wherever within the United States might be best for your family. So please take that into consideration. Again, so that person will be starting June 7th, the first person named Ms. Hoff. The second person, Ms. Holmes, will be starting on the 21st. So we will look forward to joining them joining the team. So I know another one of the questions.
Relocation, so I need to know what they are processing.
So I know that there's going to be a lot of questions about relocation and what that looks like under the different programs. And I'm glad that Larry Gonzalez and Robin Adams are here because they're going to talk to you about relocation through the voucher program, if you choose a voucher, or relocation through the public housing program, if you choose to remain in public housing, and maybe transfer to another location. Maybe you don't want to be in Jordan Park anymore, but maybe you want to be at a distant place. Maybe you want to be at Sunset Oaks if you're a senior. So Robin can walk you through those examples as well. But one of the key things I want you to take away from this update right now is, one, our plan was approved. Everything that we told you wanted to do, HUD has said yes to, so that's good. The next thing is that we are working with our funding partners to make sure that all of the funding is in place so that then we can close the financial process and begin the relocation process. So those are the things that we'll be working on over the next couple of weeks into July so that we can finalize that. I'm going to give Larry the opportunity right now, because I know, let me see, I guess, how many folks are kind of interested in the voucher? All right, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
5 hands here in the audience, so here physically, and I'm sure there's probably some folks on the virtual meeting, and feel free to indicate in the chat who's interested in the voucher as well. You know, we want to get those details. And so Larry is the person who has a lot of that key information. But it's going to be, again, not a one-size-fits-all process. We realize everyone has different concerns and challenges, and we want to make sure each of your families has the support you need depending upon your housing choice, whether that's voucher or whether that's public housing. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gonzalez so that he can basically walk us through the voucher process. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Larry Gonzalez. Again, I'm a Housing Choice Voucher Officer. What the Section 8 program the Section 8 program and how it relates to the Jordan Park relocation is that this summer, you're going to be asked to relocate either to a public housing unit, another public housing unit, or a Section 8 voucher, move with a Section 8 voucher. So it's, as I said, it's coming, as Ms. Thomas said, it's coming sometime this summer. What the process is,
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, well, let me stop there because Ms. Thomas had asked, I want to take a quick, just a real quick one question survey. And those in the room, raise your hand. Those online can say amen as a vote. But if the question is, if I was to give vouchers out today, how many would take them right now?
Shoot, me. Amen. Me.
Okay, praise the Lord, counts only as one vote too.
So that's a good number. That's a large number of votes. Okay.
Me.
Oh, okay.
I need my voucher now.
Okay, thank you.
Let the church say amen. Amen. Amen.
As long as you don't pass the collection plate, you're fine. Okay.
I've been ready for my voucher.
Okay, me too. I'm ready today. Y'all give me to today. Hello.
Yes, I'll take a voucher today.
Oh, okay, we're getting some good feedback. This is good. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, because it'll help us in the planning stages to process this. Like I said, it's going to be soon, this summer, definitely this summer. So what I want to tell you is start getting ready. There's
Okay.
stuff that you need to know even prior to
Thank
getting
God.
your voucher.
When you say get ready, what do you mean by get ready?
Yeah,
Get ready.
yes.
What I mean by that is to start thinking about a couple of areas with your voucher. Where do you want to live? If it's going to be here in
Okay.
St. Petersburg, if it's going to be here in St. Petersburg, what area in St. Petersburg? If you want to port out, which is move out anywhere outside of St. Petersburg, then start thinking about that. Have a plan. Do you want to live in a house or an apartment? What are the schools and the shopping in the areas that you're interested in? Are you ready to move? Okay.
Yes.
It's important, especially now.
Can we move like Orlando and all that, like out of the area?
State.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear, baby. Okay, thank you.
Oh
my gosh, yes. Thank you, God. Hallelujah.
Once you've received the voucher and find a unit, that's another part that you're going to have to expense, and that's talking to landlords and filling out their applications.
How will we be able to
landlord
find
application.
to accept the vouchers?
Okay, that's,
How do we know which one to look? How do we know how many rooms to look for?
let me just say this. There'll be a question and answer afterwards. So if you let me finish up, then we can answer. I'll try and answer all your questions.
And they can always type them in the chat.
And you can always type them in the chat.
If you can, chat.
So the landlord application, that's the way the landlord is going to start the screening process and see if you are a good fit in his or her unit, okay? Last week I got together with some of the landlords and they gave me a list of questions. Some of them, and I'll give you like the top 5 or 6. Some of them, the first one was, when would you be available to move? Okay, that's really important. If that landlord's looking at 2 or 3 applicants and the 2 applicants can't move in until a month and a half from now, and you can move in because you're ready to move in, you can move in 2 weeks, you're going to look better to that landlord than the other 2. So again, I said, I'll repeat it again, be prepared. You know, get your unit ready for move out. I'm just not sure. I know that they'll be talking about what the moving procedures are, but be organized, be ready, and so it looks more attractive to landlords if you're ready to go. Okay. So another question would be, how many people are going to be living in your unit? Now the one else. I'm sorry, I got to read it because I wrote them down, but I can't. Sorry, just lost my train of thought. Going back to that, landlords don't want to have a vacant unit. So that's the reason they would want to have you occupy their unit as quickly as possible. The quicker you get into the unit, the quicker Section 8 would start paying on their unit. And a lot of landlords know that. New landlords, we will be talking to new landlords via internet or one-on-one to explain the program to them. So if you come up with a new landlord and he wants to know things about Section 8, Ms. Thomas had made reference to some of the new folk that are coming on staff. They'll be capable of answering it. Ms. Manning here is capable of answering any of the Section 8 questions you may have. So we'll be having a staff here to assist you with any kind of questions you have or any of the processes you have when you're finding a unit, because there's a lot of stuff to do. Like I said, the voucher will be issued for 60 days. 60 days may seem like a lot of time, but it's not. So especially here, if you're looking in St. Pete, the units are far and few between. So the early bird gets the worm. Again, that's why you have to be prepared. You have to have a plan of where you want to move and how you want to move. I said to wait. I'm going to wait, and then you'll be the first I ask. Another question, why are you moving? Again, that's something that we can explain, or most people are familiar with Jordan Park and its history here in St. Petersburg. So a lot of people are aware that we're doing rehab. So that's the reason. But a lot of those are the questions that landlords ask. Why are you moving? Have you ever, another important question, would your landlord say good or bad things about you? Because no matter how good your answers are with these landlords, they're not going to believe 100% of what you're saying. They're going to check with the previous landlord, and they're going to get some other opinions on how you treat your unit. So just keep that in mind when you're talking to landlords. Now
I have a question.
Wait, I promise I'd like hold on. Go ahead.
I was gonna wait till the question and answer.
It's on.
Okay. Well, so you know how you just said that our landlords, our future landlords won't necessarily believe us if we about our rental history and things like that. Will there be a certain type of promise note or something provided that, like, when we do go to these landlords, we can establish a trust or something that lets them know that, hey, we will be getting a voucher within 3 months, but we are starting to look now because we're aware of we only have 60 days to move within that 3 months, and also we're also aware of the urgency that everyone will be looking.
But you can't start looking for a voucher now because you don't even know the voucher. Excuse me, a unit with the voucher. You don't know the voucher amount. So when you get a voucher, it's going to be based on your family size, the bedroom size, and the income that you have. So
is there like an estimate?
I'd have to get your specifics to tell you that.
If they comply with the
Family size.
Ma'am, you had a question online?
Yes, I have a question. For those who want to move out of state or out of the area, how fast do we supposed to look? Because I can start looking tomorrow. That's what you're talking about?
Now, I'm just saying to be prepared. One of the things that you need to do is get ready to move. So once you get the voucher, you get selected, you'll receive an email to pick up your voucher. At that time, you'll be briefed on what to do when you want to go. If you want to go out of town or out of state, then you would meet with your caseworker and they would get you through it.
How do we know
how
do we know what to look for if we don't know the voucher size or the amount to look for?
Just have a general idea of what you want to where you want to live and do you want to live in a house or an apartment? Just nothing specific. It's just a general idea, general location of where you want to live.
For those people that will be doing self moves,
When you guys are gonna start Sending the emails.
Yes, when y'all gonna start sending the emails?
It'll be this summer. We're in summer right now, so it could be any time.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. For residents that will be doing self-moves, will they be able to get half of their their relocation costs up front for people that don't have the money to do it?
Ma'am, could you wait until we talk about the move-ins and let me get the Section 8 questions out?
All right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Go
I
ahead.
have a question. My video, I'm on the virtual video, but it keeps cutting out, so I'm only hearing bits and pieces of what you're saying. So when I want a Section 8 voucher, and then I can't hear anything, I don't hear anything else. I don't know a time frame. I know you had said something about the summer, but the virtual is cutting in and out.
Okay, well, and I'm sorry about that. What we intend to do in Section 8, we'll be doing email blasts to only the Jordan Park residents with information, ongoing information. You should receive once a week an email from Section 8 updating you on the status.
Okay. I look forward to seeing it. Okay, now continue. I'm sorry.
Any questions here? Thank you very much.
I think she has, the interpreter may have.
So, there was some, I think there was other.
You have a question? She has a question.
So one of the things
She has some questions in response to you.
Okay. So, and some of those questions again is, I think who may be eligible for the voucher. Again, from an eligibility standpoint, Larry, what is the voucher eligibility is?
1 felony, 2 misdemeanors within the past year.
That would make you ineligible?
Ineligible, correct.
Okay, sorry.
And compliance with public housing. Those are the 2 major things.
Okay, so.
That would stop you from getting a
So
voucher.
yes, so if you're not compliant with your public housing lease or
Okay, I
not
have a
compliant
question.
with your, and there's tenancy issues, like that would be a problem. And if there's any, you said two
misdemeanors and one felony.
1 felony or 2 misdemeanors within the last year.
5 years.
5 years, excuse me, 1 felony or 2 misdemeanors within the last 5 years would also make you ineligible. So thank you for that clarification. Another
Okay.
question.
Okay, so I have long felony, 10 years old. That shouldn't be a problem.
No,
No, again, yes, the look back period is 5 years. So if the felony or the 2 misdemeanors have not occurred within the last 5 years, then that is not something that will be considered.
there's one
Okay,
other
perfect.
exception. There's sexual predators. They're permanently are not eligible.
Thank you,
I
yes.
have a question. Ms. Mathis has a seeing disability, so she wants to know when the emails are being sent or correspondence, how is she going to be corresponding with, because she can't see?
We're also going to copy management here. So they can,
Yes, so,
And the contact you, every time the email comes out, you get a call from the office, just to give you an update. Okay.
and once the social services staff are on board, they will also be copied on those emails, so they will be made aware of any of the information so that they can reinforce that information with their specific person that's on their caseload. So that way you will hear it from management and you'll hear it from your relocation specialist once they're on board.
So it'd be telephone or one-on-one.
Yeah, telephone or one-on-one, right. So I think yes, and then yes.
Okay, who will have the voucher, who is eligible to get a voucher?
So the head of household is the person who gets the voucher. And for eligibility purposes, again, as Mr. Gonzalez said, you have to be in compliance with the public housing standards and your lease. And also you could not have a felony or 2 misdemeanors within the last 5 years. And then you said, sexual predators. Anyone who is a sexual predator, who is on the lifetime sex offender registry will not be allowed as well.
But they won't be living here.
No, they're not allowed public housing to begin with, but I just wanted to underscore that as well. And the other question I thought I heard, I guess, yes, ma'am.
I wanted to know what is the ratio for the student services staff per resident? Like, how will we be ensure that we will get the student services, the services that we need?
So she's saying if it's 2 service people, how many residents are assigned to each?
So there's going to be 3 service people initially, and then we're going to be adding another person at that time. Again, some people are going to require perhaps a little bit more. So a little bit later in the summer, we'll be hiring that 4th person. Some folks who are going to be doing a public housing transfer, maybe just moving to another public housing unit, are not going to need as much, services because it's just a matter of an easy transfer. Folks who are getting a voucher and looking to transition may need a little bit more support. So we're going to try to divvy up all of the residents like evenly amongst the 4 individuals. Yes, ma'am.
And also, the people that are getting the vouchers, I remember you saying that there will be a phase 1 and a phase 2. Am I speaking ahead of myself?
No.
So there's the phase 1 and phase 2 to the vouchers, those phases as well?
Yes, so people who are in, so phase 1 and phase 2, thank you, that's a good point. You've heard a mention about that previously. Phase 1 and phase 2 are the ways that the construction will happen on site when it comes to the renovation for Jordan Park. Half of the property will be renovated first, phase 1. The other half of the property, phase 2, will be renovated after phase 1 is completed. And so what what Ms. Adams is handing out right now is a copy of the phase 1 to phase 2 breakdown.
Okay.
And we will also get that to our folks who are online.
Red and blue is.
So Robin, the blue is phase.
Blue is phase 2 and the red is phase 1.
So, okay, thank you. So red is phase 1, blue is phase 2, and we will be getting that up for our virtual visitors. But the issue is, again, to your question, is that people in phase 1 will need to move out first and be relocated first, so the renovation can be completed. Right. And then once those folks move out and the renovations are done there, people who are in phase 2 who would like to move into phase 1 can certainly have that option. People who are in phase 2 who want to take their voucher and leave can have that option as well. Either way, we will be vacating that part of the property so that the renovations there can be completed as well. And once phase 2 is over, anyone who maybe had already left with a voucher and was thinking about, oh, maybe I want to come back, I don't know, would be free to apply to phase 2 as well if they so chose. There will be a project-based voucher wait list there as well. Former residents of Jordan Park will get first preference for those units. So as you heard me mention, Jordan Park, forgive me, just need a moment. As you heard me mention, Jordan Park will transition from the public housing program to the PBB program. That means that we'll have a waiting list for the PBB program. It is a separate program, it's not public housing, so therefore we have to create a new waiting list. But that doesn't mean that our residents here at Jordan Park won't get a preference on that waiting list. It still means though that you have to apply. I hope that is clear. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that it's not just a transfer from public housing to project-based voucher housing. Bless you. It is an application process again. And some of those things, like Larry said, the look back period of 5 years would still apply. The compliance with your public housing lease would still apply if you were transitioning from public housing. So just some things to think about. PBV is the project-based voucher program. So instead of the housing choice voucher, where you can take the voucher and go anywhere you want, project-based voucher means that the voucher is with the apartment. So once you move into the voucher unit, and you move out, you don't, the voucher doesn't go with you, it's there with the unit. Does that make sense? Okay, all right. So, so hopefully.
What month can we start moving?
So, that's a really good question. As I mentioned before, we are trying to complete the financing portion of this. We have a disposition application, but we need to make sure that all of the funding is in place. That's one of the directives that we've received from, so we are going to work on that over the course of the next few weeks. And then you will get a notice letting you know that it is time to start moving or looking at physically moving at that point. So our thoughts are in the summer of 2021 is when we expect folks to start moving, summer of 2021. I heard a lot of people who said they wanted to move right now. I saw hands and I heard that virtually, that a lot of people would like to move right now if they had their vouchers. So we will certainly keep you informed as soon as we have any updates, any developments, so that those of you who want to start moving can move as soon as we are possibly able to do so. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Clear. So you say you're gonna start with the Reds, sign first. So they move out, they get renovated first, and this time move out? Or how does like?
So that is correct. So phase one will get, folks will move out from phase one, the renovation will occur. And then people who are in phase two, they will have the option to either move into phase one if they would like, or they can take a voucher.
So how long would the renovations be?
So the renovation, I am no construction expert, so I want to just give that caveat at this time. All things being equal, I think that the indication is that it would take anywhere from 12 to 18 months. I'm sorry?
Phase two, still gonna be here a whole year.
Yes, so phase two would still be here in existence as public housing for 12 to 18 months, because again, construction, as you know, if there's anything climate weather or anything can happen, you certainly want to.
Were you a person who wanted a voucher? Yes. So we're not gonna stop phase two from getting a voucher. We'll be eligible units to move people in phase two.
People that want to stay in Jordan Park. Have better at things. Right. So they start first, but the ones that's over here, like the doctors and moving out as well, instead of the ones that are not safe.
Right, because I understand there are people in phase phase two, who want a voucher as well, and who would want to leave. And because we need some folks from phase two to move out so that folks from phase one can move in, those folks who decide that or not decide, but who have indicated that they are looking to move out, we can certainly look at how you can also be available to move out so that you can use your unit.
Okay.
But you won't start on phase two until phase one is done.
We cannot start on phase two until phase one is done.
Correct. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
How I know that I'm in the first part?
We have someone on the floor right now.
So just one moment, and then we will get to our virtual caller. Yes, ma'am.
So my understanding that there's only a certain number of vouchers that was being provided.
That is okay. So
that is true, but the housing authority has vouchers of its own. So while HUD is only going to give us 51 vouchers, we have 3,600 et cetera vouchers. We might have 32 at least, so we've got 400 available. So don't worry, the voucher's there. Do not worry about that.
And I think everyone here applied for the voucher when the waiting list opened. The waiting list, as you may recall, opened February 1st to February 4th. And we encouraged everyone at Jordan Park to apply. And according to Larry's list, it looks like pretty much everyone did. Maybe only 2 folks out of the entire Jordan Park did not apply. So at that point, that means you're already on the waiting list for a standard voucher to begin with. So even with the 51, even if we didn't get the 51, but we will, even if we didn't get those, everyone here at Jordan Park has applied and is on the HCD voucher waiting list. So, but we will have the 51 just to make sure that,
Yeah, and that 51 would be dedicated to phase one.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not about those numbers.
okay, so actually, you know, I see that we have one of our moving friends here with us. So I want to give him the opportunity to speak to all of us because Mr. Gonzalez mentioned moving and mentioned and we are going to talk about being prepared. And Mr. Paris?
Yes.
There you go. Okay. Mr. Paris is going to give us a couple of best practices and some tips on how we can prepare for moving in a way that makes it as least of a headache as possible. No moving is going to be a headache, but any tips or ideas you can provide would be much appreciated.
The best way I would suggest when it comes down to your moving date is empty your drawers, your dressers, all loose stuff, have everything boxed, everything bagged. Anything with loose miscellaneous stuff, the clothing, anything that's scattered, just box it or bag it. And that way, if you're going to move yourself or if you need help with professionals, we can come in and get out quick. That way we can wrap everything up, go ahead and get it out. A lot of people don't realize your dressers are not designed to be moved loaded, so we don't prefer to move them loaded.
That's right.
So that way nothing falls apart.
I have a question.
Sure.
Should you leave the stuff in the dresser?
I would not suggest it.
And then take it out?
I would take the stuff out, and that way you can shrink wrap, pad wrap the furniture with everything staying right inside of it. Any kind of shelf you can remove, or you can remove all your pins, beds, disassemble, reassemble, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the main thing, the longest part about moving with professional wise is miscellaneous stuff. So if we come in and you're still packing boxes and there's stuff all over the place, it just takes forever.
Yeah.
So if you get big hefty bag, you got miscellaneous toys, anything you can think of you can bag up, go ahead and do it.
Will you be available to move? Like I have 2 mirrors on my dresser.
Yes, we
Is
can
we available to take those off?
Yep, we provide our own equipment, our tools to disassemble and reassemble anything.
Okay.
So then TVs go in boxes, TV boxes, everything gets shrink wrapped, pad wrapped.
You provide some boxes? I lost my TV box.
Yep, we have TV boxes. So all that we can provide all that stuff. So, but that's the main thing is being prepared will definitely save you in the long run for sure. So
Mr. Parrish, what about by room? Sometimes, people have, so this is the kitchen stuff, this is the bathroom stuff. So what about?
If you can label it that way, some people want, when we move everything, they want everything just dropped in one area and they'll distribute. Then some people want it room by room by room. So it's really preference, everybody's different situation. If you want it dropped in a room, label it, some people put colored, hey, green room, blue room, yellow room. That when you bring it in, it can be each distributed room.
Do you normally do a walkthrough or anything with the?
So we can either come out and do an in-home estimate, or you can do a walkthrough with your phone. If you have, everybody has a smartphone, do a walkthrough video and you can send it to us, that way we can see what you have.
Okay.
So, and the number one rule in the moving industry, we always say is, you never know how much you have until it's time to move.
I have a lot of stuff.
So try to be prepared. Or if you're gonna get rid of stuff, get rid of it before you move. That way you're not having to move stuff you're gonna get rid of.
Okay, so that is a key point I want to underscore again, that if you think now's the time to downsize, now would be the time to get rid of some of those things you've been holding on to, but you haven't looked at in 5 years. And now.
We call that purging, just purge, let it go.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it, you don't need it. And remember, the Salvation Army is a good place, or Goodwill, or any of those hospice facilities. But they only take stuff that they can sell. So you can't drop off grandma's knickknacks that are not worth nothing to nobody. They're gonna throw them away.
So there's a question in the chat about, will you provide boxes ahead of time?
So we would definitely want to get a packing list and know what boxes you would need, and then we can bring them on move day, or if we pack before or whatnot.
So if someone says, I have a TV that needs to be boxed up,
So you gotta move it. That's simple. But if you need like your kitchen packed, your bedrooms packed, we would try to do like a 2-part. We come and pack one day, move the next.
Okay.
That way we're all ready, because packing will take a long time.
Okay.
What was that? We can help pack, yep, everything. Everything, yep. Yeah.
So, because, we know, especially here at the Housing Authority, as Mr. Parent said, moving can certainly be very problematic, and we want to make this process as least burdensome on you as possible. So if there's assistance that Mr. Parrish and his team, or other moving company and their team can provide, then certainly we want to be able to do that. So yes, boxes, getting tips, we're gonna try and have some checklists and things of that nature so that you can think of, you know, okay, what do I need to do to prepare? As Ms. Parrish says, be prepared is one of the best ways to get this process going smoothly. So any information, again, any handouts or checklists that you may have or you may be aware of that we can share with our residents ahead of time.
Even if you guys want to assemble your stuff, that's totally fine. If you want to do it, if you're more comfortable, that's okay. But if you want professionals to do it, that's optional to you. And, you know, just make sure you label your boxes. Obviously, don't load the big ones too heavy because cardboard's cardboard. It's not going to hang up to no.
I have a question.
So.
Oh, no, not you.
Virtually, yes, ma'am.
Yes, if we have the funds to move, like when we get the voucher, instead of waiting on the moving company or whatever, do we get reimbursed? Or
So, yes, one of the moving benefits or one of the relocation benefits is that you can be reimbursed for actual moving expenses. You would just need to bring your receipts. You can present that to your relocation specialist, and they will work with our finance department to issue you a reimbursement for your moving expenses.
The other choice is you can take a specific payout that the federal government has determined for moving.
yo estoy hablando de lo que hago en casa esa.
I don't know what you said.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Upon moving, will there still be a deposit required?
Are you talking about at the housing authority or?
Yeah.
We will provide a refund of your deposit if you're not moving to other housing authority property. We will, when we get to the part I'm gonna do, I'll talk to you guys about it. So if you just want to wait, I'm gonna answer that for you in a little bit. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And one thing, Mr. Parrish and the team, thank you. Miguel, thank you so much because it does help to have professionals kind of walk us through the process and give their advice and help.
Yeah.
So again, if you have any more questions, please, for our moving friends, please share them with your property management teams. We can get them to Mr. Parrish and he can give us some answers and some information. Yes.
How do you know if how do you find out if you're eligible for vouchers or find out?
So as Mr. Gonzalez said, that there is going to be emails that go out. You will have to, when it comes to how do you know if you're approved for a voucher, when you're selected from the wait list?
Yeah, when you're selected from the wait list, you'll receive the email to come in and get your voucher. We're going to do voucher briefings. The briefing is to explain the voucher process. So you get the email with a date and time to come in to get the voucher.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So
And one last thing I would definitely want to say, even if you don't hire a crew, make sure you hire someone that's legit. There's a lot of unlicensed moving companies locally. And you don't want them moving your nice set that, you know, they're thrown down the stairs because.
What's your number on the?
I will prefer all that to you. You know, it's always say you get what you pay for. So if there's someone advertising really cheap labor, you're probably going to expect that.
So we will coordinate with Mr. Parrish and with our other moving companies to facilitate that. You don't have to do that legwork to go and try to find the mover. Now, if you simply choose to do that on your own, that is your option. You can give us your receipt and we can reimburse you, but we will provide moving services to those folks who wish to have them.
Sure.
So thank you, Mr.
Absolutely.
Parrish. Thank you, Miguel, so much for your time. We appreciate it. Give us your questions and we can get them to Mr. Parrish afterwards if we still have some.
Sure.
Thank
All
you.
right, we'll get out of here.
All right, thank you so
Have a
much.
great night,
Stay
guys.
safe. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to turn it over to Robin Adams so that she can discuss the the public housing transfer process for those who want to transfer from Jordan Park to another one of our public housing communities.
Or who want to transfer within Jordan Park. So believe it or not, everybody here wants a voucher, but there were at least 20 people who said they would like to transfer on site wait for the renovation and then move back. So for those folks, there are a couple of options. 20 folks chose the option to stay here at Jordan Park. So if that's the option of phase one, when you look at your map, remember phase one is the first to move. In order to move to phase two temporarily until phase one units are renovated, you're gonna have to do a few things. You're gonna have to.
So hold on 1 second. So we're just getting a lot of sound, and so just want to make sure that everyone virtually and in the room can hear Ms. Adams. So just
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, there will be some forms because we are the housing authority after all. You know, we love forms. So we have moving package forms for you to fill out. If the choice that you want to make is to stay here during the renovation and then move back to your renovated unit. So remember, you can change that option anytime you want, but 20 people did choose that. So I will be contacting the folks that are on the list, or you can contact the management office and let them know that that's the option that you want to change your option, or that's the option you want to choose. So once you fill out the paperwork, we're going to have some vacancies in phase two naturally through attrition. Right now, there are 4 vacancies in phase two that we can immediately move people to. And we have been given the go-ahead to get started on moving the folks in phase one that chose to stay in an appropriately sized phase two unit that has been turned. It won't be renovated, but it will be turned, so that it'll be decent, safe, and sanitary for you to move to. So if that's the choice that you make, then those moves will be starting right away. The other choice was 5 folks in phase one chose to move to another public housing development, so one of the AMP2 properties. Unfortunately, AMP2 properties just don't turn that often. People that move there stay there, so we don't have a lot of vacancies. Right now, we have 1 vacancy and 1 pending vacancy, but the family that chooses to move there, if it's temporary, has to fit in that unit. So for instance, if you have 5 children and you just want to move to distant place, they're only 2-bedroom apartments, we can't do that. We can't underhouse you. But if you're in a 1-bedroom apartment, we don't have any 1-bedroom apartments in phase two. They're all in phase one. So we might have to move a person who only qualifies for 1 bedroom to a 2-bedroom for that temporary move until you move back to your 1-bedroom apartment in phase one. So it's not as complicated as it sounds. And as Ms. Thomas told us earlier, how are we going to vacate units in phase two so that the folks who want to stay on site can move there? And that would be to issue a limited number of vouchers that will free up enough units so that everybody who wants to move can move. Which means that doesn't mean that your option goes away to have a voucher. It just means that you'll get your voucher when phase one is done.
How do you know if you're in phase 1 or 2?
You can, we have a map that we sent out that we're going to get out to everybody on the email blast. Unfortunately, we can't put it on the screen right now, but we'll be putting it on there for you. Basically, if you live, I'm going to think about this. If you live east of Jordan Park Street, you're probably in phase one. If you live west of Jordan Park Street, you're probably in phase two. Right. And we can specify, if you want to know exactly, call the management office.
Wildwood side towards the park is phase two. And then 22nd Street.
23rd Street and 23rd Street is phase one.
Yes, that's.
Yeah. So,
I was trying to help them understand.
Yes, you're right. It is, and I think this is the first time we've introduced the split of the phases. So be sure you ask questions if you'd like to. Email public housing. You can call the management office. We'll answer all your questions about your specific unit where you are. So in order to, like I said, in order to free up enough units in phase two for the transfers, some folks that ask for a voucher will get a voucher, but possibly not everyone, because we still have to keep phase two occupied. Now, the other important thing to know is it's going to be public housing until phase one is done. So you'll still be living in a public housing unit, even if temporarily, in phase two in Jordan Park. So that's important to know because all the same public housing rules are going to apply.
So pretty much you wouldn't be offering any vouchers to the ones in phase 2 early?
Unless, yes, we would.
Oh,
We
okay.
would in order to free up apartments for folks who want to stay.
Okay.
But a limited number,
Right.
because like I said, right now I only have 20. You know,
Okay.
that number could grow or it could shrink when we have our relocation team talk to everyone
Okay.
individually. Remember, whatever you said on the survey isn't your final answer. You can still choose a different option, but generally.
And I want to just, I'm glad Robin mentioned the survey. You know, after seeing all of the hands about wanting to move and hearing that from residents saying, you know, I want to move right now, praise Jesus and so forth, I think that it might be helpful for us to maybe have another survey just to get a sense of who wants to move now if they had a voucher, who, because I'm thinking about, you know, school being out, you know, all of these considerations. And so we can just get a good sense of what are some of the needs, desires of the residents so that we're operating with a full set of information and not just on maybe our assumptions, but what are we hearing from you? I heard a lot of, I want to move now, please, Lord, please. That's what I heard. But maybe that's only a few people.
But you might not be one of the 20 that said they want to stay. So
Right.
I'll be contacting each one of those families that made that choice and making sure that that's still your choice. And then we'll go from there.
Right, so if we send out a survey, you know, just so we can get folks information and get maybe an update on, you know, when do you want to move, what your option is, when everyone completed, if we ask you just to update us?
Yes.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you, so we'll look to do that then.
Do you think that we could do that electronically? Has anybody heard of a Survey Monkey? So Section 8 were to email you the survey in there.
Yeah.
Would that make it easier versus trying to?
Yeah.
So.
But,
Do they have telephone surveys?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
The telephone survey makes it so that what the Survey Monkey does is it takes the housing authority out of it. You get one chance, you answer the questions. Nobody can say, I answered your question and I did it incorrectly, because you answered your question.
But they will still have one-on-one counseling
They will have,
and be able to.
this
make
is
that
something
choice.
that we're looking to do maybe in the next, I would think, week, so that we get an idea of, you know, where you guys are, who decided to come to the meeting today.
If it changed.
And if you guys were online with us, then I'm thinking you should be good for the Survey Monkey. It would just be the folks in the room.
And then also, I think the ability to move, like if you know landlords or if you know people who have houses, like there's certain people that are in our community that actually own Section 8 houses that are qualified, so maybe we could connect with those too.
That's a wonderful idea. And what Mr. Gonzalez didn't tell you about his program is right now, if you bring a new unit into our program, we have incentives for the landlord. So, yeah, if you have friends in the community that are renting houses, it might not be bad for them to, you know, even if they had to, like you said, wait a month for you, they would get their incentive, and we are for sure paying.
Okay, that's what I was asking about, like the promise note, like if I was to, I know, but that's just the thing, you said for sure that.
Well, I'm saying, once you get the voucher and everything's approved,
Right.
the housing authorities are for sure paying.
Right. Every month, like clockwork, a landlord is going to get their check, which is, some landlords like that certainty as opposed to a tenant who, from the private sector, who they're not sure, maybe they'll pay this month, maybe they won't. We will always be cutting our checks monthly so they can rely on us. And some landlords want to have that check because it helps pay their mortgage consistently. So just something for them to think about if you have those discussions. Okay, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, certainly. Was there another question?
You had a question.
Yes.
If you move out and move back in, will you get the same unit? And the answer is not necessarily. It depends on what your family, you know how families change. You may have children, you have more children, less children move out. Depends on your family size at that point in time, what you're eligible to move into. So it wouldn't be the exact same unit that you came from, or it could be if your family.
So is there anything from the project-based voucher standpoint that we need to think about when it comes to unit size and so forth? Because let's say are there differences between the public housing a project-based voucher program that may play a role in those considerations.
Normally, the voucher program is 2 heartbeats per room. That's how we calculate a bedroom size, 2 heartbeats per room. It doesn't matter if it's male or female. It just, HUD looks at 2 heartbeats per room, and that's how many. If you have 4 people, that's a 2 bedroom. 6 people would be a 3 bedroom. So it's 2 heartbeats per room.
So,
Unless you're single and then it's a one bedroom.
So I'm just going to play mediator here. So Ms. Adams, is that different to the public housing program?
Yes, it is. We have a very different standard. It depends on the sex of the children, it depends on their ages. So there are different standards. Now, while phase 2 is still public housing, those standards, those housing occupancy standards still apply.
Right. So that is a consideration then, I think, if I'm hearing Mr. Gonzalez correctly, is that you may be used to the public housing occupancy standards, which have a lot of considerations about the family. Whereas the PDV program, it sounds like it's very cut and dried, if you will. 2 heartbeats per room, sex of the children or sex of the individuals are irrelevant. So that might be something, again, that you might want to think about when you think about the relocation and coming back to Jordan Park or what you want to do. That is, I'm very glad we had this conversation, because I think drawing the distinction between the 2 programs is a lot of food for thought.
Well, 3 people would be 2 bedrooms.
Correct.
So, okay, question, 3 people would be a 2-bedroom unit. That is correct. So, okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Allen, for raising that point. I'm sorry? No matter the age. So,
I don't like that.
Okay, so, I'm very glad that we had this conversation and some folks are thinking about some things now and taking that into consideration. So good.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's one rule though, I mean, I hate to say that, the sex is right, but that's what I was just saying to him. It's like if there's a generational gap, it's like if there's a 10-year, you got a boy and a girl and there's 10 years between them. I don't think it's
Yeah, we would look at a case by case.
So please understand, it's not crazy, like, it's not insane.
So I have a granddaughter that just.
Okay, I have a question.
18, and I have a granddaughter that's 14.
They'd be in the same room.
They'll be in the same room.
Okay.
But if you had a granddaughter who was 18 and a grandson who was 9, they would not be in the
I
same
see
room.
what you're saying.
Okay.
Because there's a generation between them.
I got you.
Okay, so, well, thank you. So I definitely think that those voucher briefings are going to be important to get clarity on the programs. I also think, again, if you have questions or anything, our relocation specialists and our HCV or our Larry's staff will be very important for us to have continued discussion with. So please think about your questions and get those to us so that we can have at future meetings, we can dive into that. There was someone with a question, and then we're just going to continue on because time is going. This is great. Thank you very much for your interest and your engagement. Yes, ma'am. I heard a question.
Yes. So people that attend this meeting, do they get their vouchers first?
I'm sorry, ma'am. That's a good question, but that's not exactly the way the voucher program works. I appreciate
Ashley Cooper here too, but her phone broke.
But no, ma'am. It is going to be, again, as Mr. Gonzalez said, we will be issuing a selection email during the summer. So I would encourage everyone to check your email regularly. Because that is going to be the immediate way that the voucher program will get in touch with you. So make sure you have that login information, that password, your username, so that you can access it easily.
And we have the correct email address.
And make sure that we have a correct email address for you. So thank you. Yeah, good point. One more question and then we'll just finish up. Yes, ma'am.
Me?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, I don't know if she answered my question or not yet.
Could you repeat your question, please?
It's my relocation, I haven't gotten there.
Oh, okay, so yes, we'll talk relocation, actually, but we'll go into it right now. So we're gonna talk relocation benefits. Someone had asked a question about self-move, reimbursement, and other things. So Ms. Abington, our Chief Finance Officer, is going to go into those details now. Ms. Abington?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so when you guys get out in the private sector, there's things called application fees. Yes, so those are some of the costs that will help you with, up to $300. So let's just say you go and apply at Carlton Arms and they say, you know, it's $100. That's something that the housing authority will reimburse you for up to 3 times. So, you know, up to $300. So I wouldn't pick the place that wants $500. I can't give you an extra tip. The security deposit, like I said, we're gonna refund your security deposit if it's refundable. Now, if it's not refundable, you're not getting it back. But if we can, we will. We will also help you with the security deposit equal to 1 month's rent. So if your rent is $1,000, we'll pay up to $1,000 towards your security deposit. And a lot of times in the private sector, that's how much they want. If there's any fees, and there will be fees on reconnecting. So you're moving, even if you're moving from phase 1 to phase 2, there's going to be reconnection fees to change your utilities. Again, it's something we'll reimburse you for. You don't have to pay it. You just got to get the bill and provide it to us. Okay? And then the moving costs. So we got into the moving costs with the mover. You can get a mover yourself, pay the mover, and I reimburse you for it. You can use the movers that SPHA has already, I'm going to say, I hate to use the word vetted, but already procured, certainly. So you don't have to do that, but you can also choose to move yourself. And the federal government has set a rate by the bedroom size that you're in currently. So let's say you're in a 3-bedroom, but now you only qualify for a 2-bedroom in Larry's program. We're going to give you the money for the 3-bedroom because that's what you're in. Okay? And then that's what it's set by. Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna say, is there somewhere we can see these rates? That's all.
Actually, yes, those are on, it's actually on the Department of, I think, Labor or Transportation's website. We can get you that rate, because it varies by state. So what works here in Florida isn't the same as the rate in Alabama for whatever reason. So we can get you that information.
And I'm sadly to say I almost brought them with me, but I did not. Because I thought that I had them listed in there and I do not. But, you know, I want to say that it's ranging between probably on the self-move, don't hold me to it, but I'd say between probably $1,200 to $1,800, depending on your bedroom size. So somewhere in there. So that's basically how the housing authority is willing to help you move. Are you moving here on the property or are you moving to another location, whether it's the voucher program? Of course, we're not refunding your security deposit to you can transfer it on our property.
Right.
Let's just be clear. And then I'm not going to turn around and pay your security deposit on your behalf, no. But I will do all of the other things, including you'll get the moving, the fixed moving. A lot of people tend to choose to do the fixed moving because it's a good amount. Somebody asked earlier, could they get half that money up front? Absolutely not. Because when you qualify to get the fixed moving is when you come to the office and you turn in your keys and you vacate that unit. That's when we're going to give you the fixed moving allowance. But we'll help you with all the other things in the upfront. And if you choose to hire your own mover, we'll reimburse you. We will not pay the mover for you. The only mover we're going to pay is a mover that SPHA has provided.
So that's what the fixed moving.
That's
with
the fixed moving. The self move is, you know what? I don't need anybody. My boyfriend's got a truck, and my sister's willing to come help me, and I know how to do it. I got some grown boys up in my house, and we could do this. I could use $1,200, right?
Got you. Okay.
The other choice is look, I'm old now, my leg hurts, I don't want to do this. Now you're going to pack your boxes, we're not packing your boxes for you.
Wait, he's saying he was.
I mean, he is not one to pack the boxes, and you do not want anyone to pack your boxes. You want to make, I was going to say it then, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But you want to pack your boxes and you want to close your box. It's something that means something to you, and it might just be a set of shoes that your grandmother owned and you just think are magnificent and you don't want anybody doing anything with them. And the other point is, if you decide to get movers and there's things that are super, super important to you and they're precious, I wouldn't have anybody move those things. And I just moved from Birmingham, Alabama about 7 months ago. So I did a long state move and I paid movers to move my stuff. But there were many, many things I moved myself because I didn't trust the mover with it.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to take, I'm gonna say my medicine, the medicine I needed, just like you put it in the carry-on.
Yeah.
Take your little pack of clothes, you know, whatever, make sure you got something, just in case it's not ready when you get there.
And just a quick note on the fixed rate, I did find it online. So it's based upon the rooms of furniture that you have in your apartment.
And I'm gonna be clear, it's only bedroom, living room, and that's it, it's bedroom and living room, because I asked, there was no other room. So they do not count kitchens, and I don't think you had dining rooms. So that is whatever your bedroom size is plus your living room. So, no.
So that is what
I have a question.
From the Department of Transportation, just a couple of examples for the 1 bedroom in Florida that is, or excuse me, for a 1 room with furniture, $750, 2 rooms of furniture, $900, 3 rooms of furniture, $1,075, 4 rooms of furniture, $1,250, 5 rooms of furniture, $1,400, and 6 rooms of furniture, $1,550.
So we don't have 1 room because you got a living room and a bedroom, so you start at 2 rooms.
So 2 rooms start at $900. You have a bedroom and a living
So
room.
1 bedroom would start
at 900 and then move on from there. It's 900, 1075, 1250, 1400, and then 1550.
Well, we don't have that.
Okay. So I'm just trying to give you the time, so that gives you some idea about the numbers if you choose to do a self-rule fixed rate.
That's what they do for a person to self-move themselves.
So for you, that would be if you decide I'm gonna move my,
Yeah. Got you.
we're going to, and when you move yourself out, and you turn in your keys, we're gonna cut you the check for that,
Got you.
okay?
All right.
And then, but also with the SBA, with the movers that you have provided, what would the allowance be for?
We'll pay them directly, you won't receive any.
You won't have to pay it.
So there's a.
You will not pay, we will pay.
Oh, because they said that we receiving $100.
Oh, we'll put, everybody's gonna, if you move, everybody's getting $100, not even including that.
Oh, it's like for boxes and things.
Yeah, we'll even provide you boxes. So you tell, you know, we know you're ready to move, you say, we'll bring boxes over. I want to be clear, you're not going to receive any money paid to you. So you vacate that unit and turn in your keys.
Okay, all right. So, thank you, Ms. Abington. I think there was another question.
I have a question.
Yes.
Someone had mentioned earlier that you have people in the community with houses or whatever. How do they get in contact with you guys to put their house that they're renting on the housing list?
When you get the letter,
to be approved.
when you receive the briefing letter to come in to pick up your voucher, and we'll explain the voucher program, we'll also provide a list of landlords that accept Section 8.
But what if they know someone who wants to?
If they know it, then the landlord can either contact our offices or contact the caseworker that will be here at Jordan Park.
And then also the instructions on our website. And also the instructions for how a landlord can join the Section 8 program are on our website. So that is stpha.org, which is going to be in the chat right now. So right under landlords, there's a link or there's a little heading that says landlords. Any landlord interested in the program can go to that link on our website, click on it, and get information, contact information, and they can then follow up with Ms. Manning, Vanessa Manning here from the HCV department, and she can answer questions they have as well.
And will you post the moving rate?
Yes, we will post the moving rate online. So, okay, so just some quick review of the frequently asked questions. I think we touched on all of them already. We talked about the disposition application, number one. We already went through that. I got my voucher already and I want to move. Can I leave now and still receive my relocation benefits? The answer to that at this time is still no. We want, as I said, we want to make sure we get our funding in place, and we want to do that survey. We want to make sure we know when people want, are they ready to move now? And so we can take those factors into account as well when we're making the relocation timeline. So please do not move just yet in order to fully receive your relocation benefits. Thank you. Unless you are transferring to another public housing unit, and you would still be eligible for your relocation benefits if you are transferring to another public housing unit. But if you have the voucher, but if you have your voucher, or if you are interested in the voucher, please don't move out and just say, I'll get my voucher after I move. That's not the way it works. Please wait. What will SPHA do to help the residents of Jordan Park? We've already discussed our relocation benefits, the hiring of new staff. And when will Jordan Park residents be required to move? Number 5. We, as we said, we're going to be looking at summer 2021 in order to start issuing those vouchers. Some people are moving now because they want to transfer to another public housing unit. That's different to the large moves of housing choice voucher folks. So the couple of transfers that Robin mentioned that's a couple of, that will be happening, in the nearer future. But the large bulk of folks who are taking their vouchers and want to move into the private sector, those moves will be happening in the summer. Or we will begin those moves, in the summer. I think those were pretty much all of the updates. Again, we will continue to issue these frequently asked questions as we get more information in English and in Spanish. So please keep an eye out for those. We will try to keep them full with information. Was there a question?
About utility.
Yeah.
About utilities. Utilities, so when it comes to, if you're talking about the public housing transfer, if you have a utility reconnection fee, they will pay that. You just need to bring in the bill to us and we will pay that reconnection fee.
That's
excuse me?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can I look houses that they're not like your houses? Can we look like outside of those houses?
Yes, so as Mr. Gonzalez said, and as Ms. Abington said, if there is a unit or a house that is not already on the voucher program, but the owner or the landlord is interested in joining the program, we certainly would welcome them, and we would provide financial incentives to them to join our program. So that landlord or that owner of that house that can feel free to contact, go to the website, learn about our program, or call our central office directly and speak with a voucher staff member to learn more. But yes, certainly we are welcoming new landlords and are even issuing incentives for them to join our program. So please do, if you find someone or you know someone, tell them about the program. So I think that should be, we're going to talk about lease violations and lease compliance. I know Mr. Gonzalez mentioned being compliant with your lease and being compliant with public housing standards.
Well, just real quickly, everybody knows that everybody's been getting inspections like crazy lately. Yeah, we had our own staff inspecting, we had a third-party inspector come. Housekeeping issues are going to be the biggest obstacle you have. Anybody who has received a violation for housekeeping must correct that violation because that would disqualify you. So be sure you do that.
You would know by now, right? If you have anything with housekeeping, you would know by now.
You would. You'd have to notice by now. So that's an important issue. Also, any other kind of criminal activity, fighting, when the police are called, if someone gets arrested, those things could make a difference, and you want to avoid that type of situation at all.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
I just have one question. You said something, but my kids was kind of loud, and you said something that can violate your lease. I just wanted you to repeat that again.
Okay, lease violations are very important. If you've received a housekeeping violation, it's incredibly important that you correct that violation. Other violations, for instance, criminal activity, arrests that happen at your apartment, fights that happen at your apartment, those type of activities that are non-compliant with the lease, and your lease does require you to not have those type of activities in your apartment. So anything that your lease violates is important that you correct.
And to Robin's point, and to this young lady's point, you will receive a notice regarding that lease violation. And to be clear, the voucher program has private landlords, and it is not the housing authority's intention that if someone is causing a lot of disturbances or challenges or issues in our unit, that we just transfer that but just put that person in to another landlord's property. Yeah. So there would be potentially, if the violations are severe enough, there could be eviction action that is taken. I'm not saying that that's going to happen here, but that is one of the steps that if the violation is severe enough
and not cured.
So if you get a notice, please come into your property manager and say, hey, I got this. What do I need to do to fix it? Can I have a corrective action plan? Something to show good faith that you're trying to repair things, so that way it does not cause any kind of delay in you being able to transition to the program when the time comes. We want to move quickly. I'm sure everyone does. Please, if you get a notice, talk to your property management team and address it as soon as possible.
And that would include payment of rent.
Well, that's gonna be one of the questions, Larry, right? Like most landlords, don't they ask what your rent history is?
And the rent history is available.
Yeah. Okay, so,
There's a question about that.
So good point. If you have any rental challenges that haven't been paying on time, now might be the time to try to get on a good schedule, so that if a landlord asks, has this person been on time with their rent for the last 3 months? The answer from the property management team is they sure have, as opposed to, no, not really. Give this property management team a good report to give on your behalf. It will only make things easier.
There's never been a better time to get help with your rent. If you need help, there are many agencies out there that can help you.
Yeah.
So there's really no reason not to pay your rent or any past due balances or unreported income. All of those things are going to cause rent to be due. So just be sure that you bring everything up to speed and take advantage of these programs that are so readily available right now.
So I want to thank everyone. Thank you, Ms. Adams, for making really important points. Thank you, everyone, for your presence, for your engagement, for your questions. We know that this is a long time coming process. Finally, we are here. We have this HUD approval, so things are going to start chugging now really quickly. We will continue to keep you informed. Thank you so much, Ms. Hamilton and Ms. Gonzalez, and to Ms. Reed, to our interpreter, Ms. Laura. Thank you so much to everyone. And to our visitors online, thank you. If you have questions, please feel free to contact Ms. Reed. I will end the meeting now, and if any questions, you can contact me or contact your property management team. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.